Hi, this is a brief message I wanted to bring you in relation to the whole area of policing. I know it's an area of major concern to you as constituents, and it's an area of concern to me as your TD and to my Dublin colleagues equally. So, on the one hand, there's reasonably good news. Burglaries are down. However, the detection rate for burglaries is very poor, and that's really down to the lack of Garda resources. But figures in relation across a range of other categories are actually rising. So crime is on the rise in some categories in Dublin again. I want to welcome the appointment locally of Superintendent Ian Lackey, who's the new superintendent in Garda Station. I've met him a few times, and I know that he's deeply committed to community policing in particular, and he has all the best wishes of the community that he serves. But what the Gardaí need clearly are resources. Now, what's very clear to myself and my Dublin Fianna Fáil colleagues, having looked at some of the figures, is that Dublin is not getting the resources that it requires. Garda numbers in Dublin have actually decreased since 2010 by 1,000. And while government spokespeople might say to you that that was due in part to the economic crash, that actually doesn't explain the drop in Garda numbers between 2016 and 2017. In my own Dublin Metropolitan Region South, the Garda numbers are down by 83 between those 2 years of 16 and 17 alone. Meanwhile, in Portlaoise Garda Station, one of the Garda stations in the constituency of the Minister for Justice, Charlie Flanagan, Garda numbers are up. And that figure of Garda numbers being up is replicated right throughout the country, but not in Dublin. So we have to ask the question, what is it about this government and Garda numbers and Garda resources for Dublin? Because across all Garda services, whether it's Community Garda, whether it's the Garda Traffic Corps, or whether it's the Garda Reserve and the ordinary rank and file Gardaí who serve our communities every day and serve them very well, Garda numbers in Dublin are down, and down significantly, even between 2016 and 2017. And numbers for the Garda Reserve have pretty well collapsed. So myself and my Dublin colleagues raised this in the Dáil yesterday. We'll be continuing to press this message home and continuing to press the government to ensure that Dublin gets the Garda resources it requires and it deserves, and that Dublin is treated equally when it comes to Garda resources as the rest of the country.
But you can't explain, you don't go on to explain why there is a huge, massive increase, relatively speaking, in the Garda numbers in Portlaoise Garda Station, one of the stations in Minister Flanagan's constituency. You talk about Templemore, but the closure of Templemore doesn't actually explain the discrepancy in the fact that increased numbers in Portlaoise Garda Station and the numbers in Dublin Garda stations across all the services provided the Gardaí are down.
Completely. Why is it that we've had 15 gangland murders in this city in 27 months? You're asking the Gardaí in Dublin, city and county, to operate with one hand tied behind their back. They are not being given the resources they deserve. They put their lives on the line for us, and this government does not prioritise Dublin.
The Irish Pharmacy Union recently did a survey on pharmacists and how they've been subjected and targeted to crime. The survey found that 79% of pharmacies have been the victims of crime. I know in my own constituency on Pearse Street recently that pharmacies have been targeted. It is unacceptable that people who are in business, most of them are sole practitioners, trying to do a decent job, cannot rely upon the fact that there is Garda resources out in the street to protect them.
Minister, I'll try and stick very strictly to the point. In your answer to this House, you said that during 2017 the number of Gardaí increased to 13,551, an increase of over 600. Can you explain to us, if we have 600 extra Gardaí in the country, why there is a decline in the number of guards in Dublin?